Okay, American Literature 2. Welcome to the second half of the semester. Yes, normally in normal times, this would be midterm break. We would have spring break. Yay. And then of course, these are not normal times. But guess what? Um, these are the times in which we live. And hey, what better time to study American literature than crazy times, because there's always crazy times. In fact, we are getting into the portion of the class that I find to be some of the most interesting things, because this is whenever things just get complicated. Life is more complicated. Everything is getting more complicated. We've already started this with the modernists. We've read T.S. Eliot, E.E. Cummings, many really just complicated issues that artists are addressing, and this is hey guys, this is literature. This is the human condition. It's not all love sonnets and just simple things. There's a lot of complexity to the human experience, and this is what you're going to start to see as we continue with the course. One of the interesting things is that we're going to start to see a blurring of the schools of thought. Like we you know, if you took American Literature 1 with me, I know many of you guys did, many of you guys did not, but if you've taken American Literature 1, you know, okay, we have the Enlightenment, and most people were writing about the Enlightenment values, and then we had the Romantics, and most people were writing about that. And it's not like everybody was changing with these schools of thought, but oftentimes, you know, the vast majority of people were. And what we're going to start to seeing is that it gets more complicated. It just gets more complicated, and we're still in the time of the modernists. And this is going, you're going to see a lot of that, but you're also going to see other voices, other thoughts, and the especially when we're dealing with the modernists, we start dealing with issues that are not typically addressed or have not typically been addressed. And we're going to start seeing use of uh, what is the word I'm looking for? We're going to start seeing some modes of writing that are not in sync with everybody else's. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing, and this is when it gets really interesting. And then they start addressing really complicated and oftentimes very issues that not many people really want to talk about, but we should, right? And this is the beauty of literature. It helps us to bring these issues to light and really wrestle with them and contemplate them and share them and say, hey, these are aspects of the human condition too. Let's think about these things and maybe become better off as a result. So we've already started, really. E.E. Cummings and T.S. Eliot, they both are bringing out these other elements, of course, with the modernists and with this time period we're in right now, the early 1900s. We've got World War One. We've got, actually, I guess it's kind of apropos because the Spanish flu was during this time, you know, as well. So hey, there's a little bit of poetry in that. We're rhyming with history right now. About 100 years ago, a little over 100 years ago, they had the Spanish flu, and then of course World War II is coming, but we're not quite there yet. We are in the early part of the 1900s. We're looking at the the teens, and then the 1920s right now, and that's where we're going to start with our next author. So let's take a look at what we're reading this week. We're reading this is Langston Hughes. Now, what's really kind of cool is we're starting to get into some authors that we're going to see influences from authors that we've already read. And in this semester, we're going to see this author influence another author who often was critical of Langston Hughes. So it's interesting. We're starting to see, I guess, the speeding up of time that happens with modernity and with technology and with we just see it. We see it right now. We're in almost every year. There's some huge advancement, but we're starting to really see it take place in American literature. So Langston Hughes was heavily influenced by Carl Sandburg, who we've already read. And when you read, I mean, it's not long ago, right? Not long ago, just a few weeks ago, we read Carl Sandburg. And when you read some of Langston Hughes, I want you to really think about stylistic similarities, and not even just stylistic similarities between these two authors, but also um, I especially the grittiness and the subject matter that they seem to focus on, and how they focus on this subject matter. And so take a look at Langston Hughes for that. Also, he was influenced by Walt Whitman. If you were in American Literature 1, you remember Walt Whitman. So maybe you can kind of glance over some of his poetry and see the echoes of Walt Whitman in Langston Hughes. You're going to see also what you might consider just a lot of freestyle. He's going to change a lot of the things. He's not using traditional forms all the time. So it's really some interesting stuff. And this week, I would like you to, let's see here. I would like you to explicate The Negro Speaks of Rivers or The Weary Blues. So one of those two, I'd like you to explicate, and you're going to do that for your weekly explication. Also, if you take a look here, I've got a couple of videos that are excellent. I believe really, and they're literally Crash Course is the name of the video series, but they're great crash courses in the Harlem Renaissance, which is something we're going to be learning about this week. This is Langston Hughes is widely credited with being the father of the Harlem Renaissance. So I want you to take a look at this video. Also, I really like this guy's name is John Green, and I really like how he actually explicates some of Langston Hughes's poetry. And I want you to watch this video because it's a great. He gives you a lot of background information about the Harlem Renaissance, about Langston Hughes, and things like that early on in this video. But in the second half of the video, he explicates at least two poems, as I recall, and he does a very good job. And I want you to really think about how he's thinking about these poems, not just for Langston Hughes, but for all the reading that we're about to do the second half of the semester. I really want you to think about how he's thinking about the use of word, the use of meter, the use, all of these things. Take a look at that and really try to apply that mode of thinking as you move forward. So he does a really good job, and he makes it fun. He makes it more fun than these Zoom videos that I'm doing. So I just thought I would grace you with that, as opposed to me explaining this, just in one of these. But he does a great job, and you can watch this and rewatch this as well. This week, the explication is right here. Again, Weary Blues or The Negro Speaks of Rivers. Also, one of the things that I think John Green does a great job of in this video is addressing the racial elements. So some of these racially charged words that we would just not use in the modern age, right? The word Negro, we wouldn't use that. But the way that he explains it, basically, essentially, we can use, it's totally okay to use these words when we are reading someone else's poems, right? Quoting from someone else's words. It's not, in the day and age we're in right now, we understand this is not really acceptable language, but it's something that is absolutely okay to do when you are quoting and reading from another person's reading or excuse me, their writing. And so he explains that pretty in a really fun and succinct way. So just take a good look at this video. This week, again, this is your explication, either Weary Blues or Negro Speaks of Rivers. I did not assign Harlem, or actually just called Harlem. I did not assign it, but it is a fantastic poem. So take a look at that just on your own time as well. And then this week for your discussion, you go to discussion 9 and make your comment and have your discussions on those things as well. It's a really interesting time. I think the videos that I'm sending you will explain the Harlem Renaissance well enough for you to get your feet wet. feel free to do further research. I would love to read your. Eventually, we're all writing essays. Okay, just to kind of give you a little sneak peek. And I would love it if you guys wrote about Langston Hughes and the Harlem Renaissance. We do have James Baldwin coming up, and now James Baldwin. The really cool thing about James Baldwin, I mean, he. And I don't want. You know what? We'll talk about James Baldwin when it's time to talk about James Baldwin. But anyway, take a look at Langston Hughes. Enjoy. I mean, really, this poetry is just very enjoyable to read, and I'll let you find that out for yourself. Guys, that is what we're doing this week. Make sure to finish all that up. If you have any questions for me, if you have any discussions you'd like to have with me, feel free to drop into my office hours, my virtual office, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., Monday, Wednesday, Friday. On Monday, so that is today. Today is Monday, March 15th. I will be in my virtual office quite a bit of the day because I'm doing a lot of grading. I'm grading all of your midterm exams. So I'll be grading those. I'll be scoring your midterm grades today. So a lot of office work for me today. So if you want to drop in on me, I will be leaving this the Zoom room up, and you can drop in, ask questions if you'd like, or make comments, or just, hey, tell me a joke or something. You know, it's just sometimes these are long days. Guys, have a great week. Enjoy Langston Hughes, and I will see you next week.